When I'm here alone doing work, there's something that just allows my mind to wander and go to things that I want to think about. I can ask God questions, and it seems like I hear from Him.
There's some part of me that's convinced that to have an honest face-to-face conversation with God, that what I would hear is that I don't have what it takes.
There's a fear that God won't speak, He'll be silent. And I'll be left to wrestle with those questions alone.
I don't know what to do with a lot of the wounds in my life. I can deny them, and that doesn't work. It won't go away. I can embrace them. That's the worst thing I can do. But I really need God to come in and speak to me about that wound.
We still have the question. It does not go away. It rules us, whether we're aware of it or not, because we still crave that validation.
I have come to heal your broken heart and set you free. When Jesus of Nazareth steps into the scene, he chooses that passage from Isaiah 61 to announce his mission. He says, I have come to restore you and set you loose. Welcome back. In part 4, we're going to round the corner into what might be the best part of the masculine journey, the healing of our wound and the restoration of our soul. You see, the good news of Christianity is that God's invitation to you is not merely to become a moral man or a nice guy. No, He set His image in you, and He fully intends to restore it. So walk with us as we enter the healing of the wound. The adventure is a day with God. Alone.
When I'm here alone doing work, there's something that just allows my mind to wander and go to things that I want to think about. If I can get out in that kind of environment where I'm alone, just doing simple things with my hand, working with tools, I can ask God questions, it seems, and it seems like I hear from Him.
When I need to be with God, the first thing I feel like I need to do is get as far away as I can from my typical surroundings. Here at the ranch, I just love finding a high rock where I can see the whole valley, and it feels just spaciousness for my soul.
I love walking, looking, feeling, throwing, touching, smelling, just things around me. And in the process of doing that, just kind of going over inside everything that's true about life.
I invite you to come and speak to me again. The only way I know to find out what's really going on in my heart, which is the place that all of life comes out of, is to spend time at that place, is to ask Him to search my heart, know what's going on.
I grew up summers working on my grandfather's cattle ranch. Just to be here in a barn, hay, the smell of the horses, I love it. It takes me back to a time when there was a man in my life who loved me and who cared enough to intervene. So for me, this is a healing place.
The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the afflicted. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives and freedom to the prisoners.
If we could begin to really know that, then we would really think that Christianity was good news.
Yeah.
It is not about being a more obedient or dutiful man. Not at its core, not the center of it. That's the verse that Jesus uses when He starts His ministry. He goes in the wilderness and has His trial. He comes in, it's His first public moment. And He says, this is why I've come, I have come to heal your brokenness. I've come to heal your heart and set you free. That's the offer of the gospel. That's what Christianity is about. I want to restore you as a man, and then I just want to set you loose. Yeah, that's where we're headed. Yesterday was a tough day for me, frankly. Just opening up the wound, listening to your stories.
All I wanted to say was, I'm so proud of you. I love what you're doing. I love your life. I love your marriage. I love the fact you're having a baby. But it was one more time. I couldn't live life right.
I remember several times where my stepdad, in his anger and rage, telling me, Craig, you're nothing but a seagull. All you're good for is sitting, squawking, and shitting.
And the message of that wound was, you'll never live in a story that's large. You'll never be involved in something that's important, that's big.
And that was kind of the first moment of tension. I realized it was kind of my reputation was on the line, and so I went up to the bar and I just hung there. And I'll just never forget, you know, just hanging there. And it was just so humiliating.
I started acting out as a teenager. I mean, I started getting into a lot of trouble. And I see that now as a cry for his involvement. It's like, intervene, do something. Don't you see I'm going down, you know? And he didn't. Today is about the healing of the wound and taking God up on his offer. If that's the deal, yes, Lord, we're in. We want that. And what keeps so many men from experiencing that healing, that freedom of God, is how we have mishandled our wound. Until we bring our brokenness to God, until we admit it, and enter into it, face it, feel it, and bring it to God, until we do that, we can't begin to know the healing and the freedom. And what so many of us have done for so long, too many years, has been to mishandle our wound. We deny it. We minimize it. Yeah, you know, sure, everybody takes a hit. You know, it's not a big deal. It's in my past, right? Or we embrace it. We actually make it our identity. You know, that's what I am. I am a seagull. I am not worth anyone's attention. Unless I do get it right, you know, I'm not worth anybody's time. We end up actually embracing the wound.
So much of the message of the wound was, I have nothing to say, I have nothing to offer, I really have no worth or value. And when I saw that wound, I wasn't sure of all that I did have to say or all that I did have to offer, but I knew that was wrong.
Yeah.
I knew that wasn't true of me. And the way I mishandled and initially dealt with that wound was with an energy to prove that message wrong. The problem was that it was unsuccessful. It didn't seem to be getting any results, but I was trying so hard.
I really embraced it. I did. I just figured the truth is that no one wants to be with me unless I have something to offer, unless I'm really good at something and they need that. So I embraced it, and I determined I would be really good at a few things that people would need. But again, there were so many things I avoided that I wanted to go to or do that I couldn't. I couldn't, because I wasn't sure if I was bringing anything.
You know, any weakness that I felt in me, any fear, any sense of that brokenness, not only did I not enter it and deal with it, I hated it. And I would just shove it down, push it down, and just run hard. I thought if I ran hard enough, and far enough and fast enough, I could somehow get past it. And it did not work. Even if we are able to somehow pull it off, right? We overcome our wound, in a sense, we get past it. There's no joy in it. We're working hard, we're pushing through, but there's no freedom.
Right.
There's none of what Christ talks about in Isaiah 61. There's not healing and release. There's just pressure to come through, fear when we're in it, right? And a great deal of striving to prove something. Every man carries a question, right? Am I really? Do I really have what it takes? Am I the real deal? Am I a man? And the wound brings a message that says, in some way, shape, or form, no. Or no unless you lead, strive, run, are thin. No unless you work harder than everyone else. And then maybe if you pull it together, people would want your company and your friendship, right? That's the message. And then how we mishandle it, how every man mishandles it, is where we go for validation. See, we still have the question. It does not go away. It rules us, whether we're aware of it or not, because we still crave that validation, those words and affirmations that we needed. We take our search for validation basically one of two places. We either take it to the woman or we take it to work. Right? And seriously, you look at any guy's story, that's what I did. I just, one relationship after another, kind of those early girlfriends and in high school and then in college. I thought if I could, have the attention of a pretty girl, well, then I'm a man. She can tell me who I am as a man. So many men take their question to the woman. Tell me who I am as a man. No woman can answer the question for a man, but we look to her, It's the reason so many men are afraid of their wives, right? Is that if she gives me the report card and it's an F, then I'm an F, right? I failed.
So don't enroll in that class.
Yeah, right. Right, so we pull out, right? Or we bounce from woman to woman to woman, as so many guys do, looking for the one who can validate him. Or we take our search for validation to work. Right? We'll all just be really good there. Feel competent there. I feel in that one narrow band of life, I'm making it work. And we avoid every other area of possible exposure.
John, I lived with that so much during my career. And I'd get one of those wins, and gosh, it'd be exhilarating for about a day. And then you'd just kind of sink again, looking for your validation again somewhere. Where do you go next?
Because you got to do it again.
Yeah, you got to do it again and again and again.
It's a brutal life to live. And so what God will do is He will strip us of that. He will come and He will thwart the very places that we have turned for validation. Not because He's mean, not because He's unkind, because He is trying to rescue us. God has to take us into our wound so that we can experience His healing and the freedom that He has for us. But most of us will not go there. Most men will not go to their wound. They deny it, minimize it, whatever, right? And so God has to take us there. That's where we have to go. And that is where we're going today. The adventure today, in some ways, is the most dramatic. Though it may not look like it from the outside, the adventure is a day with God, alone.